The R2Y2 is a rank 5, 8.0 jet fighter for the Japanese tech tree. In War Thunder, there are 3 different variants of the R2Y2, the V1, V2, and V3. However, their performance is relatively the same. For weapons, they each sport 4 30mm cannons with 600 rounds of ammo, and they can carry either an 800kg HE or armor-piercing bomb. If you're using the bombs, I would personally use the HE. The AP is supposed to be used for attacking ships, but the HE is better than doing that anyways. As for flight performance between each, the only real difference is the thrust each plane can make. When we view the stat cards, we can see just how small the changes are. They all use the same engines, having 2 Mitsubishi NE330s. The reason each plane has different thrust is due to their air intakes positioning and where their engines are placed. For example, from the V1 to the V2, the engines are placed from the side into the rear. This gives the V2 better aerodynamics, but the poor intake area means that the engines cannot suck in enough air. This is fixed with the V3, where the air intake is moved to the nose of the plane and made bigger, allowing for more thrust while keeping the same aerodynamics from the V2. In late November of 2022, the R2Y2s were moved from BR 7.7 to 8.0, which made a handful of players pretty angry. The players believed that this change was a bad move, and many think that Gaijin should reevaluate how they make BR changes, instead of going purely off statistics. The main reason players were mad is that now the R2 has to face opponents like the F-86 Sabre and MiG-15, which completely outclass it. They also have to fight early air-to-air missiles and transonic aircraft a lot more. And I totally agree. I think the R2 is perfectly fine at 7.7, but let's see if it can still compete at 8.0. Right from the get-go, you'll see that the R2 is severely underpowered. Slow acceleration is normal for early jets, but the R2 is especially slow. Once you're in the air though, I found that the best strategy is to get as much speed as possible and climb to at least 6,000 feet. From there, you will need to remember that you cannot accelerate well, so picking which targets to engage is critical for your survival. The cannons have lots of ammo on top of being high velocity, so feel free to use them from very far out. If you do find yourself in a dogfight, you'll see that the R2 handles rather nicely for being so weird looking, being able to go toe-to-toe with most fighters that you come across. The R2Y2 has been an aircraft of debate ever since it was first introduced, mainly because they have never really existed. The R2Y that existed and flew in real life was the R2Y1, a prop-driven and unarmed recon plane. During its test flight, however, the R2Y1 suffered engine cooling issues, and fire occurred during ground testing that would damage the aircraft and its power plant. The R2Y2 Kai V1, 2, and 3 we have in game are a different story. RIL, the R2Y2 was a proposed jet-powered version of the R2Y1 that never even had a finished prototype, let alone a successful flight. People suspect the only reason they are still in the game is due to Japan's lack of low BR jets, like the Kika. But only time will tell. So I would ground out all 3 just in case Gaijin doesn't decide to remove them.